Okay, so this is just a quick video to show you all how to wire your lovely dried fruit that you have got in your wreath kit, and then how to attach it onto the wreath. So you'll notice in your kit you've got a lovely bag of mixed dried fruit and cinnamon and cones. You've got your pre-spruced and mossed wreath. You have got some twine, which we don't need until later. You've got a pre-made bow, which we don't need until later. And you've got a selection of wires. So the first item we are going to wire is the easiest one, which is the sliced oranges. So it doesn't matter whether you just use one as an individual or whether you want to group them together in a 2 or even a 3. I will show you the technique for both. So you only need a short wire really for these. So you're just going to take your wire and you are just going to pierce through the orange, just close to the edge, but it won't go through the zest as it's a bit hard. So just that fleshy bit, pierce through with your wire and just put like 1/3 of the wire through your fruit, and then you just fold it over on itself, just like that. So you've got like 1/3 and 2/3 on the other side. Then you just twist the shorter piece right the way around. So then you've created a stem for your orange. So that is if you're just doing one. Don't worry that it wobbles about a bit. It won't when it's on your wreath. So I will show you one more time for doing one piece of orange. So you just take your wire, pierce it through, fold it in half so it's like 1/3, 2/3 roughly, and then you twist just like that, and that's going to attach it really nice and firmly to your wreath. If you're wanting to group them together, doesn't matter how many of them you do, I'm just going to show you 2. You can do 3, 4, whichever you want to do. It's your wreath and it's your style. So in the same technique, you're just going to poke your wire through, but both of them at the same time, holding them together, fold it over, and then wrap the shorter piece around the longer piece so it's nice and firm. Okay, so that is the wiring of your oranges. The next thing we are going to wire is the pine cone. So they're all different shapes and sizes because they're a natural product, so don't worry about that. I would use the slightly longer wires for the bigger ones. The shorter wires are fine for a dinky one like this. As you can see, they do vary in size, but don't worry, it just adds to the lovely effect of your wreath. So I hold it upside down, so I've got a nice firm grip on the cone, and we're going to just feed your wire through the lowest section you can where it just starts to open, and you're just going to feed it underneath all the way around. So you can see you've got your wire, slightly longer bit and a shorter bit that's been wrapped all the way around the cone underneath the lowest section. That just disguises your wire so you can't see it as obviously as you can in these open bits up here, and these open bits are a little bit more fragile too. So the same technique as your oranges, you're just going to wrap the shorter wire around. Okay, so I'll show you that again with a slightly larger cone. So I'm going to use a larger wire just because it's got more of a circumference to travel around, so you just wanted that little bit bigger. So again, just going to feed it underneath the lower Don't worry if you come to a part where it's not gone underneath. It's fine because it's gone underneath most of it. You've got a really firm connection, and then you just twist, and then you've got a really nice secure cone on a wire. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you will be the limes. So with the limes, there's two techniques. You can use a shorter, thicker wire if you're wanting to try technique 1, which is lining up 2 of the slits at either side, looking where they're level, and just trying to poke your wire through the centre so it meets out the other side. Some of them are quite hard in the middle, so it's not achievable to do this with them all. It's a bit of a lucky dip. You can turn it into a game. If there's a few of you doing this together, you can have a bit of a competition who can get their wire through. I'm losing on this particular one because it's fairly hard. It's not going to want to go through that one. I reckon maybe 1 in 5 you get success with. If you've got time, you want to keep persevering, you can do it that way. If it's not playing, you just take a longer wire and you lay it through the crease instead. So you've just taken it and you've put it through the crease. Sort of get a third of your wire to one side of the lime, and then you're just going to go right over the top with the longer piece through a slit that's on the other side and twist in the same way you did with your orange and your cone. So then you've got it on there. So that is an easier technique if it won't go through the middle, because some of them are difficult. I'll try again on one of these just so you can see that technique, but honestly, don't worry, it doesn't really doesn't matter which way you do it. I think I've just got a really hard batch for these. There we go, we've got it through. So that's a shorter wire, you've just poked it right the way through, so you've just got to line it up and hope it's soft enough in the middle. The only advantage you have to doing it that way is you've not got a wire showing over the top, but because it's green on green, doesn't really make much of a difference, and because it lies on its side on your wreath, usually it's not a problem. That's the only reason why you would do it this harder way, you know, is if you really didn't want any of the mechanics showing. So a little hack that I have heard from one of my colleagues is to take a skewer if you really wanted them this way, and just poke your way through with a harder skewer first, and then you can follow on through with your wire. So that is also an option for you. So that's your limes. Then we're going to go onto our cinnamon sticks. So these look really nice if they're grouped together. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to group them in a 2. You can do more, you can do 3 or 4. So they're like in a little parcel of wood. They look really cute, but we're just going to do 2 for today. You take your longer wire and you hold your cinnamon sticks nice and firmly together, and you're going to hold your wire halfway down the wire and halfway down the cinnamon stick. So you've got it there. Just hold it nice and firm with your thumb, and then you're just going to wrap the wire around, keeping it as tight as you can, and then twist. It is a bit of a workout for your fingers. Don't worry if it's still slightly loose, because we're going to take our pieces of twine that we had earlier on, and we're just going to wrap them around. These sort of serve 2 purposes. It disguises a wire, so it makes it look a bit prettier. So you could use ribbon for this, really anything. And it also just secures them a little bit tighter. So you're just wrapping it over that wire, and then just tie it in a little knot. And then you've got a cute little parcel of cinnamon to add to your wreath. So just like that, and then it's nice and secure. So I'll show you that one more time. So you've got your 2 pieces of cinnamon, one of the longer wires, halfway down the wire, halfway down the cinnamon, and then you're just going to twist it right the way around and get it as firm as you can. Don't worry if it takes a couple of attempts. You know, sometimes it can move about a bit. It's absolutely fine because we are tying that bit of string around. It just adds that extra security and looks prettier than having a green wire going around it. Like I said, this looks really pretty as well. You could use like balloon ribbon, you know, just something ribbon. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so those are the techniques to wire all of the items that you've got in your kit, your dried fruit, etc. And then we're just going to go on to your eucalyptus. So you've got some eucalyptus here that you've got in your kit. So there's 2 ways of doing this really. You can either wire a little cluster together, or you can just feed the stems through and underneath your spruce to secure it. I'll show you the wiring technique first, and then I will show you how to do it, just going through this spruce. So you just pinch a couple of them together. It's entirely up to you whether you want, you know, 2 or 3. It's your personal style. For the purpose of the video, I'm just going to use 2 pieces. You take your wire and you just lie it sort of lengthways, just in the same direction as the eucalyptus. Keep yourself a nice long stem. Then you're going to take the bit that's up near the leaves and you're going to wrap it around the back of the eucalyptus and then around the front. Don't worry if you lose a leaf that's at the bottom, absolutely fine. That's going to go into the spruce anyway, so you're not going to see it. So you just want to keep wrapping it around until you've got just one stem coming down. So that's your eucalyptus on a wire. I'll do that one more time. So if you put in a couple together, just pop it together like so. Take your wire, lie it along it, keep yourself a nice long piece at the bottom, wrap the top bit just around the back and then around the front, pulling it as firmly as you can, and you just twist until the bottom bit has joined the bottom. There you go. So that's your eucalyptus on a wire. If you didn't want to wire it, or if you know, if you've run out of your wires or anything, the other technique is to just get a nice clean stem. So if you have a leaf at the bottom, just pull it off, it's fine. And then if you look just under the spruce, you don't need to worry about pulling this up because it's nice and firmly on. You just slide your stem into the spruce until you find the moss at the back. You need to stand your wreath up for this bit really, and then you'll see your stem has just come through your moss, and then there's all this wire that's just disguised in the moss, which is what's constructed your wreath. Just slide that stem underneath the wire, just like so. Don't worry if your stem snaps a little bit, it's absolutely fine. Just push it into the moss, and that's how you've got your eucalyptus secured on without having to wire it. And then you can just weave it through your spruce just so it sits on nicely. Okay, so that's a wiring technique of wiring all of your items that's going to go on your wreath. So next I'll just show you how to attach them to your wreath. So in the same way really, I've just shown you with that eucalyptus, but I'll show you with the wired one. Literally just take your wire and you're just gonna poke it through the spruce. Sometimes you know, you might take a couple of attempts, but keep with it, you'll get there. Turn it over. Don't worry about breaking it. You're turning it on its face, it's absolutely fine. And just give it a nice tug so it's nice and deep sort of within that spruce. And then you just pop your wire into the moss, and the moss will hold it really nice and securely. So that's the same technique for adding all of our bits and bobs. So we're gonna, I'll just add a tiny bit more eucalyptus, and then I'll add the fruit for you.
Just watching it, I can cut it out.
So can I just add a couple of sections and then do the here's one I made earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah? So, yeah,
you'll through putting them on, yeah.
You'll cut that out, yeah.
I'll just count you in.
Yeah, so if once you've got your eucalyptus on, you'll find sort of a nice spot you'll be able to find for your bow. So your bow might be a little bit squashed because it's been in transit, but again, that is on a wire, just as everything else is. So you would attach this in the exact same way by just finding a gap in the spruce, through the moss. So it's come out the other end, and then just push it back on itself. And it's on nice and securely, and just fluff it out so it looks pretty once it's on there. There we go. And then as far as adding the fruit and your pine cones, etc., you can pop these honestly anywhere you want them to go. It's your wreath, it's completely your style. If you want them to be very sort of neat and, you know, one in each sort of location, that's absolutely fine. If you like sort of groups together, that's fine. Just have fun with it. You know what you like. There's no right or wrong at all. So I'm just going to add some of the limes so you can see these being added, and it's easy peasy, this bit. It's a fun part. The same technique, you're just popping it through the spruce. Like I say, don't worry about having a couple of attempts. Sometimes you just need to find it. As soon as you feel that it's gone through, just fold it back on itself into the moss. And then it's on nice and securely. And because they're on a wire, you can twist them around a little bit and adjust the shape. So the same will go for your oranges. You just pop them in through the spruce, through the moss, pull it in as far as you can get it so it's nice and sort of embedded in there. And then just fold the wire back into the moss. You fold it back in because one, it secures it, and two, you've got no exposed wires then, so it's not going to be scratching on your door or anything when the wind's blowing. Cinnamon sticks, same technique. You're just finding your way through. It's always best just to keep flipping it over. Don't worry, I know it does sort of make a little bit of a mess, but it's all right to lose a bit of the moss. It's not going to affect your wreath. And again, you can just sort of manipulate them because they're on a wire, make them sit, you know, any which way you prefer. And your cones. So if you don't like the eucalyptus dancing about too much, I think it looks nice, but you might want it to be neat in. You can just pop like one of your pieces of fruit. So it's just gonna trap that piece of eucalyptus and then it's not gonna go anywhere. And pop it in. So that's a general technique. Adding all your bits of fruit, and I'm just going to show you one that we made earlier. So this is the finished product. Like I say, this was just the style that I went for when I made this one. But you could do it in any way you like. You can sort of have it more grouped. You can add your own items if you wanted to add some little battery operated fairy lights, if you wanted a bit of sparkle, if you wanted a different bow. You really can't go wrong with it. It's your creation. Just have fun, enjoy, and have a lovely Christmas.